the body was wrapped in the cloth, we can deduce,
Mm-hmm.
and then at some point later, something happened whereby this radiation process happened, and then where there were bloodstains already, then the image didn't actually form underneath those. And just to stress again that the image is actually, it's not painted on, it's not a pigment, there's nothing added to the cloth, which if there had been, it would have seeped in. It's what's on there is the actual image itself is less than a hair's breadth thick, and only on the surface fibers, and is changes in the collagen. So really, I mean, I've been fascinated by this shroud ever since I first saw it, a picture of it 30 years ago, and went to see it when it was displayed in the late 90s. And there was a manuscript of one of Nigel's book that he wrote previously, which has yet to be published, but I'm looking forward to it being published, where he puts forward certain ideas about the nature of what humankind is, and the nature of what matter is, and what mind is, and so on. And the idea that he was putting forward is that actually, as you say, that matter could perhaps be frozen light, and that's something that is actually consistent with Einstein's equations and so on. And we know that at the Big Bang initially there was mainly photons, or electromagnetism, which is basically like light, and then later that condensed into matter, and that light itself is something called frozen thought. That's how he defines it. Now, this isn't just his idea. If you actually look at the developments that happened in the 20th century in quantum theory, someone called Erwin Schrödinger, who many listeners may have heard about the story of Schrödinger's cat, for example. Schrödinger was one of the founders of quantum theory, and came up with an equation that is so accurate that it gets confirmed every time that it gets tested to billionths of a percent. And Schrödinger's idea is that the matter is made real only through the experience of a conscious observer, that until it's experienced consciously, that all it is just possibilities, probabilities, and potentials, and becomes real through the act of conscious observation. Now, he said also that being the case, that it has very interesting implications for the nature of our universe, of space, matter, and time. Because if you look at the way science describes time, it sees it as all of a continuum from beginning to end, if you like, Big Bang to the end of the universe, could all be mapped out as a line, with nothing to say which direction things are going in, or where you are upon that line. But because we have minds, because we're conscious observers, all human beings that is, we experience something that we call now. Mm-hmm. That is always where all our experience is always within the now. And what Schrödinger said is that being the case, that not only do we make matter real, but that we make time happen. That because of this experience of now, and that if something that's been produced by the mind cannot then later destroy the mind. So his implication that he drew from that in a book that he published in the 1940s called What is Life, right, is that actually the mind must be something that's eternal. It can't have a beginning or an end if time is a product of the mind rather than the other way around.
All right, when it comes to who this person may be, there's a lot of speculation that it may be Jesus Christ, but how do you confirm that? So, and how can you be so certain that this shroud has anything to do with the person known as Jesus?
Right. Well, it's a very good question, and we can never know it for 100% as 100% fact. Mm-hmm. There isn't a signature on there saying, this sure. is who I am that formed the image. But what we can do is trace with a lot of evidence that the cloth was around in the first century, or in March or April in Jerusalem. And this March and April in Jerusalem is based upon pollen studies that have been done by actually by an Israeli botanist, and this has been confirmed by others as well. And the fact that it fits so closely to the description of events that are supposed to have happened to Jesus, and the fact that this is a unique object that's completely that has more has had more scientific study on it than probably any other object in history, and everything that has been studied has been consistent with this possibility that it was him. And the other thing, that the crucial point that I would like to expand upon a little bit, is what is it about whoever formed this image that made them capable of doing that? Now, if you look at the life story of Jesus, about his teachings and the way he lived his life, and I should say at the outset here that I come from a Jewish background, so I have no sort of vested interest and definitely no religious axe to grind here in wanting to say that this is Jesus, but this is what, and in fact, actually, interestingly, a lot of the Shroud researchers also come from a similar background, but the point is that if what we were discussing earlier about the connection between mind and matter, and people often ask, can mind influence matter? I actually once went to a talk 20 years ago when I was a student by a newly appointed professor of parapsychology, where he was presenting the evidence for and against whether mind can influence matter, and looking at extrasensory perception and what they call PSI, mind over matter. And at the question time at the end, I just raised my hand, and the chairman pointed to me, and I said, I'd just like to say, in raising my hand, I've proved, at least to myself, the power of mind over matter, because I believe we're all doing it all the time, every single moment, every time we exercise choice, we're demonstrating the power of mind over matter. Now, if, as quantum theory suggests, matter, the existence of matter is contingent, is dependent upon the existence of the mind, then we can imagine that power of mind over matter could, in its ultimate potential, be completely limitless. And if you follow what Schrödinger was saying, that actually
Doctor, we're going to have to take a break. Please stand by. Exonation, Dr. Andrew Silverman is my special guest. We're talking about the Shroud of Turin, www.nigelkerner.com. And Dr. Silverman and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Whatever you do, do not go away. We'll be back right after the news.
I hear the drums echoing tonight, and she hears only whispers of some quiet conversation.
Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Every time I look into your loving eyes, I see love that money just can't buy.
Welcome back, Exo Nation. Last week we had Nigel Kerner on the show talking about gray aliens and the harvesting of souls, the conspiracy to genetically tamper with humanity. His website is www.nigelkerner.com. And our guest this hour, Dr. Andrew Silverman, is a friend and co-researcher with Nigel, and we're talking this hour about not only gray aliens, but the Shroud of Turin. It's always amazed me, Dr. Silverman, that people just take it for granted that this is actually Christ. You know, yes, there may be circumstantial evidence. Yes, it may fit in with the establishment of certain pollen that this cloth was in the same area where Christ had been crucified, but there still is no concrete evidence whatsoever, scientific or otherwise, that this shroud has the image of Jesus Christ on it.
Well, as I was saying, what we can see is that the events that were portrayed that were unique to his particular story can be seen, shown forensically as what has happened actually on the shroud. But also, as I began to allude to earlier, whoever it was, whatever name we give to this person who did it, I believe that what it's demonstrating to us is something about all of humanity, that it's not specific to an individual. I had just begun to say before the break about some advances that actually happened quite a long time ago in quantum theory, but are still just as valid now, I believe, as they were then, from one of the founders of quantum theory, Erwin Schrödinger, who suggested that, you know, that they say that that an electron or a photon, these little tiny particles of matter, that they only actually happen when they're observed, and that by a conscious observer, and that it follows from that all materiality, all matter is in some way dependent on the observer. And he took it further and said that actually time is also dependent on us. There's only time because we exist to experience something that we call now. And he deduced from that if time is a product of our consciousness, our sentience, then our consciousness doesn't need to begin or end in time. In fact, it couldn't do, because something that is produced by the mind can't destroy the mind. And also what you can deduce from that is that if the mind had no beginning, then, and we have plenty of evidence that the universe, the physical universe, did have a beginning, and that it came from a singularity, like a single point at the Big Bang of nothingness, no thingness, no matter at the start. Well, then it stands to reason that in the beginning we would all have been one. That now we have separate identities for our minds that we call individuals with our own personalities and so on. But actually, if you look at what makes a mind, there's two qualities that it has. One is to be aware, and the other one is to exercise free choice. And those fundamental paradigms are the same in all of us. All that's different is what we're aware of, what memories and experiences we have had and are having, and which choices we make. That's what differentiates us. Now, as Nigel points out in his book, the thing about the physical universe is that it's a one-way drift into separation, chaos, and disorder. And this is something that is borne out by scientific research. This is something that all physicists know. They call it the second law of thermodynamics, that everything